on the bar today for a gear review, we have a 1972 Pioneer SX626. I was shocked when this crossed my bench and I did the service, and I checked my channel and I was certain that I had either done a service or I had done a review on a Pioneer SX626 because I've worked on so many, and I could not find one video. So I decided to record the kind of a basic service on this, control cleaning, changing the lamps, that kind of thing. And got that done, and then I brought it down here to do a gear review. I was just kind of surprised that I had not worked on one of these. So this particular version, or this particular example, I should say, was manufactured in 1972. The receivers were sold between 72 and 74. They're direct coupled, 20 watts per channel. I've spoken of the series before in the 727 review that I did. The top of the line was the 828. There were kind of three tiers, right? So the top of the line for this series, they had other top of the line receivers like the 2500 and, depending upon the year, they had other receivers, that would be considered the top of the line for their series. But this was the top of the line for the X2X series. So you had the 828. Then you had a mid tier with the 727 and 626. And the reason why I divide them up into tiers is because they share aesthetic similarities, and control layout is very similar. So 828 is kind of its own thing. The 727 and 626 fairly similar, and then the bottom tier, the entry level tier, would be the 525 and the 424. Again, they were similar, but even there were differences between the 525 and the 424. One of the first receivers that I bought when I got back into vintage was a 424. Got it for nothing off of eBay, fixed it really easily. Even for me at the time as a complete novice, I was able to repair it and get it running. And that was a pretty cool little receiver. So aesthetically, it's early 70s Pioneer. This has the champagne face, and you'll hear me in the service video rant about the champagne face on this and how it's really, really, really dark. And I thought it was like nicotine, but it's really, really, really dark. Now this one has a world radio kind of emblem or badge on it, and that thing is stuck on there. I don't know anything about World Radio. I know there was a magazine, World Radio. I don't know if there were World Radio stores. I know there was like an organization, World Radio. So I don't know if this was sold by the magazine, by a shop, if someone just got that little badge and put it on there. I really don't know where that came from. Have no idea where that came from. But it does have that World Radio badge. I'm going to leave it on there. It's kind of cool. But going back to the aesthetics, early 70s Pioneer, I love the black dial face. I like the contrast, right, of the dial color and the illuminated pointer. Again, this is champagne. I'll talk about the champagne color in a little bit and what problems that may cause for you. If you want to pick one of these up later. But sound very balanced. On the warmer side, again, that's so subjective, but the 2 series Pioneers, they weren't as warm as the cap coupled in my mind, or to my ears, but they are a little bit warmer than like a late 70s Pioneer, not as detailed in the examples that I've listened to on my test speakers in my garage and on other speakers throughout my house. But it's very balanced. 20 watt per channel power, nothing wrong with that. Hookups, easy minus the speaker adapters. I don't like those. I've ranted about those before. This one does have a split pre-out main-in amplifier section and preamp section, so this does use jumpers in the back, so you can separate the amp from the preamp if you choose to. Other than that, hookups are pretty easy, basic RCA connectors. Operation is easy, so the way the functions are laid out, or the controls are laid out, we have an on-off speaker A, B, C, A and B, and A and C. So 3 sets of speakers you can run 2 at any time. It does have the power control, right, as a part of this of this assembly here. That always could potentially cause an issue with arcing in there. That's the reason they went to either push buttons or dip switches later on. But so you need to be aware of that on this. So you've got power speakers, bass, treble, low and high filter, FM muting, balance, volume, loudness control, tape monitor 1 and 2, stereo or mono for the mode. See if I can tune in a station. Yeah, not really down here, but I can get one. And then you have the functions. You have AM, FM mono, FM auto, phono 1, phono 2, and auxiliary, and then plus the 2 tape monitors. So you've got quite a few things you can connect to this. Makes that nice. So functionality is easy. It's pretty basic. Operation is basic. Serviceability, I found this to be very easy to service. I could easily get to all of the controls. You could see that in the service video. I was easily able to change the lamps in this. I did not change the dial pointer. I thought I was going to have to, but the controls are kind of dicey on this. So I think that's what was causing my issue. As you can see, the dial pointer is illuminated. Even that wouldn't have been all that bad. So I would say serviceability on this pretty easy. What's nice is that there, at least as far as I could tell, there were no known bad components. So I didn't see any problem transistors. I didn't see tantalum capacitors. I did see a couple of light blue caps in the FM section, but the FM section seems to work fine, but I didn't see any in the preamp, amplifier, equalizer, or tone control boards. Right, so those powder blue or sky blue Sanyo caps can cause issues. I didn't see any of those. So that's nice about this. What should you look for if you're looking to pick one of these up? Number one is completeness. So this is a champagne colored, I guess, receiver. You can tell it's not a real bright silver. It's almost a copper color, right? I don't know, is there something handy? This is kind of fake silver, but right, this is a very, very light silver, right? This is more of a traditional silver. That's definitely darker. So you want to make sure that you can identify the color of the face, especially if it's missing knobs. Now here's the interesting thing. If you look at these knobs closely enough, and I had to replace one, you have the champagne face, you have champagne knobs, but all of the knobs, the champagne is kind of different on all the knobs, and I soaked these and I cleaned them. Two of these are definitely more on the silver side, but they're not really silver. If I compare this to a Pioneer knob, right, from an X2X, that's not champagne. This is not silver, but it looks more silver than these other knobs here. So the point being, if you're looking at picking one of these up and it's missing a knob, make sure you understand, right, whether it is champagne or silver or what shade of champagne it is, because if you go and source a knob afterwards, it may not be an exact match. Hell, they may have come from the factory like this, I don't know. But we've got two knobs here. I only replaced one. We have two knobs here that are definitely on the brighter side, and then four knobs that are on the darker side. And again, I've cleaned those. I've scrubbed them. They're not dirty. It's not a nicotine thing. It's just the knobs are slightly different colors. So you want to check out for that. So beyond completeness, you want to make sure the glass is there, the dial pointer's not broken, it's illuminated, none of these caps are missing, feet aren't missing, right? Speaker adapters would be important on this. You don't want to have to spend an extra 20 bucks, or 40 bucks to find a pair of those. Right, and then the veneer, this is actually, this is a vinyl veneer, but it's the nice Pioneer vinyl veneer. I'm not going to say it looks like a real wood veneer, but it's much more durable than the stuff that they used on like the 50 and the 80 series, where it was basically tissue paper and it doesn't hold up well after 40 years. So completeness, and then naturally functionality. Check for the jumpers in the back. If someone says it's not making any noise, the jumpers are missing, you could luck out. That's all. That could be its only issue, that the jumpers aren't there, or it could be that your amp is blown up and you've got to rebuild the entire thing, right? So it's just really hard to tell. So, but those are kind of general guidelines, right? Always pay attention to the description and pay close attention to the images. that they show you, including if the jumpers are in there or not. But beyond that, beyond kind of the basics, just watch out for the knobs and the color of the unit that you are considering purchasing. I was shocked. This is the second review I've done this morning, and I was shocked both times. So what I was shocked at was when I always do a for sale, what's the highest one out there? I want to get some kind of crazy ask, on eBay. And this and the piece of gear I reviewed before that, I thought that I had that crazy listing. And then I went to the sold listings and they were both spot on. They were both spot on. I was absolutely shocked. So if you were to ask me before I did any research, what's top end on this, I would have said $300, maybe $350, if it had been recapped. So I go out there and I do my pricing, and the restored service recapped, right, examples of this out on eBay were selling for more than $500, almost $600 for one of these. And that completely shocked me. I would never guess that one of these would command $600. Not for a 626, maybe a 727, but not a 626. But that's what they're selling for. So restored museum piece, everything's working, recapped, however you want to define that, $500 or more. And that's insane to me. That's really insane to me. Working, so this is what I thought the top end was, but working, and there were a lot of sales, so there was a big spread, and I had to kind of just gauge this by kind of where most of the sales fell. Most of the sales fell in the $350 range. So I would say a nice, clean, working example has not been restored, doesn't have a box. Maybe the veneer's not super clean. Maybe it's got a couple of scratches here and there, but nothing major that you have to repair. $350-ish. Now that could go as high as $450. It could go down to $250. I don't know. So I'm going to put the median, right, the average at $350 on this. And again, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. This is going to go out at 402 vinyl at $350. I put it at $375, right? We always discount, so it'll be sold for around $350, which is again, that's shocking to me on this. And it's not that it's not a good receiver. They're nice receivers. I think they're high quality receivers. But I just can't see $350 for a 20-watt Pioneer. That's over 50 years old. And then for parts, I thought the parts unit prices that sold were exactly where I thought they would be. And again, I always put on my hat of the tech that's looking to pick something up, repair it, make a little bit of money, sell it to 402 vinyl. The shop owner makes a little bit of money. People are happy. I would not pay more than about $150 shipped for one of these. I found examples that sold for less than that. So that didn't surprise me, right? So the spread goes from $500 top end to $350 middle, and then probably less than $150 or around $150 for one that you may want to pick up and repair on your own. Now, if it's missing a knob, so how much did I pay for one of these champagne knobs? It was about $40, right? So if you can get one of these for $125, put $40 into it, assuming nothing else is broken, maybe some lamps. Like with this, with lamps and everything, we've got about $50 into it. Right, so if you're trying to flip one of these, you have to just consider all of that. Now, if one of these were complete and everything lit up and maybe you just had to sort out some electronic issue, that'd be a good deal. Getting one of these at $150 with knobs missing, dial pointer light that's out, other lamps are out, or a broken dial pointer, you can very quickly, throw a $100 bill at this just for parts, and then, how much you're going to make if you go to sell it. Now, if you want to get one of these to use, then you spend whatever you want. But me personally, I would target $150 or less on this, as complete as possible. Right, less than $150 if you have to buy a knob or something. Maybe a little bit more if it's in really, really, really good condition. But absolutely nothing wrong with the X2X series. My favorite series is the 3 series. And then I would probably say, well, my favorite series is the 1000s. And then I would say the 3 series, and then it kind of all blurs after that. I would probably take an 828. I probably can't. I wouldn't say that. I would take a 1050 or a 1250 over an 828 any day of the week. Right, but I do like the aesthetic, early 70s vibe, right, of the X2X series receivers. So I think that's about all I can say about the Pioneer SX626. Good, reliable receivers, easy to fix. So, you know, if you come across one at a good price, snatch it up, buy it, enjoy it. It'll last for a long time if you get it sorted out. Recap it. It'll give you another 50 years of service. So as always, if you like what you see, hit subscribe. I will catch you in the next video.